Most of us know the story of the emperor's new clothes. Everyone pretended the emperor was wearing beautiful clothes because they were afraid to say the truth out loud. Why? Because the entire system depended on collective belief. Then finally, a child simply said, "The emperor has no clothes." I think we may be approaching a similar moment today because for years we've been moving deeper into a financial system built almost entirely on debt and intangible value. Stocks and bonds, mutual funds and ETFs, derivatives, options, and predictive betting, digital assets and bankings, and contract promises, which is all counterparty risk, all of it. And all of it depends on one thing: confidence. With consumer confidence recently hitting all-time lows at the exact same time that artificial intelligence is rapidly increasing the ability to manipulate information, exploit systems, compromise identity, and attack digital infrastructure. My concern is not simply that AI can hack systems faster, or even that AI might take jobs. My concern is that AI may expose how truly fragile many of our financial systems already are, these legacy systems on top of which all of this experimentation is taking place. Because frankly, once confidence begins to crack, the illusion of stability can disappear just like that. And that is why sound money actually matters. Now, our financial system is becoming more digital, more complex, and more dependent on trust. At the same time, artificial intelligence is becoming more powerful very rapidly, and AI may expose those weaknesses in our system at a much faster rate than people frankly expect. Now, look, this article says that criminals used AI to build a working zero-day exploit for the first time. So we should probably start with what a zero-day exploit is and why it actually matters. So a zero-day exploit is basically a hidden weakness in software. A hidden weakness. The people who created the software do not even know the weakness exists yet. And that means that criminals can get into systems before anyone has time to stop them or is even looking to stop them. Now, in the past, this took highly skilled experts a long time to do. Well, now AI can help them do it faster. These attacks target unknown and unpatched vulnerabilities. Do you get that? They target unknown vulnerabilities. In simple terms, criminals find a hidden door into a system before the owner even knows the door is there. They can steal that data, they can install malware, or they can take control of the system. The important thing is this: AI is speeding up the discovery of these hidden doors. And this is how AI is really changing the game and making you and me and the entire financial system way more vulnerable than you can even realize. Now look, this chart shows how cyber criminals are using AI. AI helps them find those weaknesses, bypass that security, and attack systems faster than before. Think about it this way. AI is removing the need for years of training and experience. Tools that once belonged only to experts are becoming available to almost anyone. What this slide is really showing is that AI is making cyber attacks scalable. That means much larger and much harder to detect. In the past, cyber criminals needed a high level of skill, time, and money to break into these systems. Now, AI can automate much of that process. It can hide activity, bypass safety guardrails, create fake identities, and help attackers gain what's called obfuscated access, meaning access that is intentionally hidden or disguised. And that matters because our entire financial system is becoming more digital and more dependent on that trust that can easily be broken because of all these vulnerabilities. And if attacks become easier to hide and harder to stop, well, guess what happens? Confidence in intangible systems can erode very, very quickly. And experts in cybersecurity, they're warning about this already. In fact, one cyber expert said that things that used to require months and years of experience can now be done almost instantaneously. And that means the speed of attacks is exploding. And this is not just about small criminals anymore. Nation states are involved too. Governments understand that AI can become a very powerful cyber weapon. And now the people trying to defend these systems, they're falling behind. This article says that AI is finding more bugs than open source teams can fight off. And they all have, safe harbor, by the way. And this is, can I even tell you how important this next sentence is? Because it shows something much deeper. The attackers are moving faster than the defenders. The attackers are moving faster than the defenders, and that creates an imbalance. And when systems become too complex to defend properly, trust starts to weaken. And when trust weakens, money systems become vulnerable too. This chart shows the fears growing around that whole crypto industry. Why? Because AI-powered attacks are increasing rapidly. And crypto is highly digital. And that means that it depends completely on software, networks, passwords, and cybersecurity. And if those systems fail, wealth can disappear very, very quickly. And nation states, well, look at this. They're already taking advantage of this. AI in criminal hands would mark a sharp escalation of the threat facing crypto, which has lost billions of dollars to hacks over the past few years. The industry is uniquely exposed to digital theft because of the nature of the blockchain infrastructure it operates on. So while there are good things about blockchain, it also creates some risk and vulnerabilities. This chart shows North Korea dominating crypto thefts. Think about that for a moment. Entire governments are now using cyber theft as a financial tool. This is no longer science fiction. AI is making digital attacks faster, cheaper, and harder to stop. And this brings us to the real issue. This is not only about crypto. This is about all intangible wealth. Things like bank deposits, stocks, bonds, derivatives, and digital assets. All of these systems depend on trust. And that brings us back to the emperor's new clothes. Intangible wealth requires trust. Bank deposits require trust. Stocks require trust. Bonds require trust. Digital assets require trust. And AI accelerates fraud, cyber intrusion, identity compromise, and information manipulation. Like the emperor's clothes, intangible systems only function while collective belief and trust remains intact. The danger is not just hacking. The deeper danger is the loss of confidence in the entire systems themselves. So what happens when trust starts to decline? Well, as trust declines, tangible collateral matters more. Physical gold, physical silver. Throughout history, when uncertainty rises, people move towards things they can actually hold, verify, and trust. Not promises, not paper claims, not digital entries. Real, tangible assets. And this may help explain why central banks are doing this right now. Look at this. This chart shows China continuing to buy large amounts of gold. Why would central banks do this? Because gold has no counterparty risk. In fact, it is the only financial asset, according to the Bank for International Settlements, that has no counterparty risk. Gold does not depend on a password, a network, software, or somebody else's promise to pay. In a world where AI increases uncertainty and weakens trust, tangible assets may become more important than ever. And maybe, like the child in the story, we are starting to notice weaknesses in systems we once assumed were secure. So the lesson from The Emperor's New Clothes was never really about clothing. It was about collective belief. And that illusion survived only as long as people continued to believe in it. Today, we are living in a world where AI is beginning to challenge that trust itself at a time when people's trust in government is near or at all-time lows. But we have to have trust in identity, in information, in systems, in institutions, and trust in that digital infrastructure. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to write this code. I certainly don't know how to understand it. And frankly, when trust weakens, intangible wealth becomes far more vulnerable because bank deposits are somebody else's liability. Bonds are promises to pay. Stocks depend on functioning markets. And digital assets depend on networks, software, and cybersecurity. This, my friends, is why central banks around the world continue accumulating gold. Not because it's tradition, but because in times of rising uncertainty, tangible, hard, tangible collateral with the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand becomes way, way more important. I believe that we are entering a period where preserving wealth will depend less on chasing returns and more, at this time, on reducing that risk. And maybe, I don't know, just maybe, we are approaching the moment in the story where more and more people begin to realize the emperor was never fully clothed in the first place. And to take care of that, make sure you give Zang International a call today and get your sound money strategy not just planned out, but implemented. And go local to create those communities so that you have surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, which for me is primarily silver, but not exclusively so. Wealth preservation, which for me is primarily gold, but not exclusively so. Community is arguably the most important part of the mantra these days, and shelter. Because these are the things that you are going to need so that when the emperor tries to insist that they have clothes and they want you to do something, you can say, nope, not me, and not today. And globally, to get redeemable gold back in the system again, what a concept. We had it once. It's time for the public to take its power back. And if we can come together on a global basis, and 3% of the global population converts their garbage fiat into physical gold and silver, we got a real shot at it. And I do believe that together we can do anything. And we need to, for the world, for the children, for the future, and for our freedom. And until next we meet, wherever you are in this world, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.